I stood in my sewing room, staring at the shredded remains of what had been my daughter Emma's graduation dress, my hands trembling as I picked up pieces of delicate silk and lace from the floor. Hundreds of hours of work, destroyed in minutes by a woman who had never accepted us as family. She doesn't deserve a special day. Patricia's words still rang in my ears, her face twisted with the same contempt she had shown us for the past 15 years. My Thomas deserves better than a stepdaughter who merely gets by. My name is Sophia Bennett, and at 42, I never imagined I'd be dealing with a mother-in-law who would destroy something so precious to my daughter. I'm a professional seamstress, and for the past 6 months, I had poured my heart into creating the perfect graduation dress for Emma. Every crystal, every stitch was a testament to the love I had for my daughter and the pride I felt in her achievements. The dress had been magnificent, a sweeping A-line gown in ivory silk with hand-beaded lace overlays that I had spent weeks perfecting. Emma had tried it on just yesterday, her eyes sparkling with joy as she twirled in front of the mirror. "Mom, it's perfect," she had whispered, hugging me tight. "I can't believe you made this for me." But now, less than 24 hours before her graduation ceremony, it lay in ruins. Patricia had waited until Emma was at her final graduation rehearsal, until my husband Thomas was at work, to make her move. She had used her spare key, the one Thomas had insisted she keep for emergencies, to enter our home and destroy months of work. I picked up my phone, my hands still shaking, and called Laura, my best friend and fellow seamstress. "She did what?" Laura's voice crackled through the speaker, thick with disbelief and anger. "Sophia, you need to call the police. This is destruction of property." "It wouldn't matter," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. "Thomas would never press charges against his mother. You know how he gets when it comes to her." It was true, my husband, for all his wonderful qualities, had a blind spot when it came to Patricia. Years of manipulation had left him unable to stand up to her, always finding excuses for her behavior. "Then what are you going to do?" Laura asked. "Emma's graduation is tomorrow morning." I took a deep breath, looking at the calendar on my wall. Next to tomorrow's date, I had written Emma's big day surrounded by little hearts. My daughter, who had worked so hard despite Patricia's constant belittling, deserved her moment to shine. "Remember Project Phoenix?" I asked Laura, a small smile forming despite everything. "The backup dress?" Laura gasped. "You actually made it." "I did," I confirmed, walking to my storage closet and pulling out a garment bag I had hidden behind winter coats. "I've been working on it in secret for months. After Patricia ruined Emma's art project last year, I knew she might try something like this." Inside the bag was another dress, even more beautiful than the first. While the original had been traditional, this one was bold. A deep midnight blue silk that shimmered with thousands of tiny crystals like a star-filled night sky. I had worked on it during lunch breaks and late at night, knowing that Patricia's jealousy might drive her to do something drastic. "Oh, Sophia," Laura breathed when I sent her a photo. "It's stunning." "But what about Patricia? She'll be at the graduation." "Let her come," I said, feeling a surge of determination. "It's time she learned she can't break us. Emma's stronger than she thinks, and so am I." Just then, I heard the front door open and Emma's voice called out, "Mom, I'm home." "In the sewing room, sweetie," I called back, quickly zipping up the garment bag with the backup dress. I heard her footsteps approaching and braced myself for her reaction to the destruction. Emma stopped in the doorway, her eyes widening as she took in the scene. The scraps of ivory silk scattered across the floor, the broken beads, the shredded lace. "Mom," she whispered, her voice breaking. "The dress. What happened?" I crossed the room and pulled her into a tight hug. "Patricia happened," I said softly, feeling her body tense at the name. "But don't worry, honey. She hasn't won. Not this time." Emma pulled back, wiping tears from her eyes. "But graduation's tomorrow. Everyone's expecting. I can't jest." I cut her off by reaching for the hidden garment bag. "Your grandmother underestimates us both," I said, unzipping it slowly. "She always has. Maybe it's time we showed her exactly what we're capable of." As I revealed the midnight blue dress, Emma's gasp of surprise turned into a sound of pure joy. "Mom," she breathed, reaching out to touch the crystalline bodice. Did you make this too?" "I did," I smiled, watching her face light up. "Because you deserve not just a special day, but an extraordinary one. Patricia can destroy a dress, but she can't destroy who you are or what you've achieved. The front door opened again, Thomas coming home from work. Soon, I'd have to explain what his mother had done, face his excuses, his attempts to minimize her actions. But for now, I held my daughter close, both of us admiring the dress that represented more than just a graduation gown. It was a symbol of resilience, of preparation, of refusing to let anyone dim our light. "Try it on," I urged Emma, knowing Patricia's reaction tomorrow would be priceless. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's being prepared for whatever life or spiteful mother-in-laws might throw at you. Little did Patricia know, her attempt to ruin Emma's graduation was about to backfire spectacularly. The morning of Emma's graduation dawned bright and clear. I was putting the final touches on her makeup when I heard Thomas's sharp intake of breath from the doorway. He stood there, staring at Emma in the midnight blue dress that seemed to capture the light and transform it into something magical. That's not the dress I saw last week," he said slowly, his brow furrowing in confusion. "What happened to the ivory one?" Emma tensed beside me, but I kept my hand steady as I applied her mascara. "Why don't you ask your mother?" I replied calmly. "She used her emergency key yesterday while we were out." Thomas's face paled. "Mom wouldn't. She couldn't have." "The pieces are still in my sewing room if you want to see them," I said, finishing Emma's makeup. Every bead, every scrap of silk, everything I worked on for 6 months, destroyed in minutes. "There must be some mistake," Thomas started, but Emma cut him off. "No, Dad, no more excuses." She stood up, the dress flowing around her like liquid starlight. "Grandma Patricia has been trying to ruin everything special in my life since I was 7. The art project she accidentally spilled coffee on. The piano recital she tried to cancel. Every achievement, every milestone, she's tried to take them all away." I watched my husband's face as the truth of his daughter's words sank in. For years, he had turned a blind eye to his mother's behavior, always finding ways to explain away her cruelty. But standing there, seeing the pain in his daughter's eyes, something finally seemed to break through. "I'll talk to her," he said weakly. "No," I replied, gathering Emma's graduation cap and tassel. "Today isn't about Patricia. It's about Emma. She's graduating with honors, giving the opening speech, and nothing, not even your mother, is going to overshadow that." As we drove to the ceremony, I could feel Thomas struggling with the revelation of his mother's true nature. He kept glancing at Emma in the rearview mirror, perhaps seeing for the first time how much his daughter had endured in silence. We arrived at the school auditorium early. Emma needed to meet with the other student speakers. As she walked away, her blue dress drawing admiring glances, I spotted Patricia and her husband, George, near the entrance. Her face, when she saw Emma, was a study in thwarted rage. "What is she wearing?" Patricia hissed, grabbing Thomas's arm as we approached. "That's not the dress that you showed me last week." "No," I said pleasantly, loud enough for nearby parents to hear. "That dress had an unfortunate accident yesterday when someone broke into our house and destroyed it. Thankfully, I always have a backup plan." Patricia's face flushed red. Several parents turned to stare, whispers breaking out among the crowd. George, who had always seemed oblivious to his wife's schemes, looked confused. "What do you mean someone broke in?" he asked. "Oh, not broken exactly," I clarified, smiling sweetly at Patricia. "They used a key, an emergency key that only family would have. Isn't that right, Patricia?" Before she could respond, the principal announced it was time to take our seats. As we filed into the auditorium, I could hear Patricia furiously whispering to Thomas, no doubt trying to spin another tale of innocence and misunderstanding. But when Emma took the stage for her opening speech, resplendent in her star-studded gown, even Patricia fell silent. My daughter stood at the podium, her voice clear and strong as she addressed her graduating class. "Life isn't about the obstacles people put in our path," she began, her eyes finding mine in the crowd. "It's about how we choose to overcome them. Sometimes the people who should support us the most are the ones who try to hold us back. But true strength isn't in never falling. It's in rising every time someone tries to knock us down." I saw Thomas wipe a tear from his eye, finally hearing what his daughter had been trying to tell him for years. Patricia sat rigid in her seat, her face a mask of barely contained fury as Emma continued to speak about resilience, about facing adversity with grace, about the power of preparation and perseverance. When Emma finished, the applause was thunderous. As she walked back to her seat, her dress catching the light like a cascade of falling stars, I caught Patricia's eye. For the first time in 15 years, I saw something new in her expression. Fear. Not of me exactly, but of what I represented, someone who couldn't be broken, who would always find a way to protect her child from cruelty, even if it came wrapped in the guise of family. The rest of the ceremony passed in a blur of names and cheers. When Emma walked across the stage to receive her diploma, she didn't just walk, she glided, every step a quiet declaration of victory. The dress I created in secret, born from years of anticipating Patricia's sabotage, had transformed from a backup plan into a symbol of defiance. As the graduates threw their caps into the air, I watched my daughter embrace her friends, her smile bright enough to outshine any star. Patricia's attempt to dim Emma's special day had backfired spectacularly, and everyone, from the other parents to the school staff, couldn't stop commenting on how stunning she looked. But this wasn't just about a dress. It was about something much bigger, something that had been building for 15 years. As we gathered outside for photos, I could see the wheels turning in Patricia's head, perhaps realizing for the first time that her power over our family was slipping. Little did she know, this was just the beginning. The midnight blue dress wasn't the only backup plan I had carefully prepared over the years. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in the moment of triumph, it's in the slow, steady revelation that every attempt to break someone has only made them stronger. And Patricia was about to learn just how strong we'd become. The aftermath of Emma's graduation unfolded in ways none of us expected. While other families headed off to celebrations, our group stood in tense silence in the school parking lot. Thomas, who had barely spoken since Emma's speech, finally turned to his mother. "You need to give me your key back," he said quietly, holding out his hand. "I can't trust you anymore." Patricia's face contorted with rage. "How dare you? After everything I've done for this family." "Done for us?" Emma stepped forward, her blue dress shimmering in the afternoon sun. "You mean like destroying my first dress? Or should we talk about all the other things you've done over the years?" I reached into my purse and pulled out a small, leather-bound notebook. "Actually, let's talk about those things, Patricia. I've kept a detailed record of every accident, every sabotage, every cruel comment since Emma was 7. Patricia's smug expression faltered as I opened the notebook. September 12, 2015. Patricia spilled bleach on Emma's art project the night before the school exhibition. March 3, 2016. Patricia canceled Emma's piano recital by calling the school, pretending to be me. "You kept records?" George, Patricia's husband, asked incredulously. With dates, witnesses, and photographs, I confirmed. I started documenting everything after the third accident. I knew someday we'd need proof. Thomas took the notebook with trembling hands, flipping through pages of his mother's documented cruelty. "Mom," he whispered, "how could you? She's not even your real daughter." Patricia exploded, pointing at Emma. "She doesn't deserve." "Enough." Thomas's voice thundered across the parking lot. "Emma became my daughter the day I married Sophia. She's more family to me than you are right now." Patricia turned to George, expecting support, but he was still reading over Thomas's shoulder, his face growing darker with each page. "Patricia," he said slowly, "did you really tell Emma's college counselor that she was mentally unstable to sabotage her applications?" "I was protecting our family," Patricia sputtered, "making sure she didn't embarrass us." "The only embarrassment here is you," Emma said quietly, "and I got into every college I applied to, by the way. Mom helped me submit applications through a different counselor." I stepped forward, facing Patricia directly. "That's what you never understood. Every time you tried to hurt Emma, you just taught us to be more prepared, more resourceful. The dress wasn't the first backup plan I created, and it won't be the last." "What do you mean?" Patricia demanded. "She means I have copies of everything," Emma smiled. "Every nasty email, every manipulative text. The security footage from when you broke into Mom's sewing room. The recording of you bragging to your friends about ruining my art project." Patricia's face went pale. "You can't prove." "Actually, we can," I interrupted, And unless you want those records shared with the entire family, including your church group and charity board, you're going to do exactly what we say." George put a hand on his wife's shoulder. "Patricia, it's time to go home. We need to talk." His voice was heavy with disappointment. As they walked away, Thomas turned to us, tears in his eyes. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I should have seen it sooner. I should have protected you both." Emma hugged him tightly. "You see it now. That's what matters." Later that evening, as we celebrated at Emma's favorite restaurant, our phones buzzed with notifications. Patricia had been busy on social media, posting a long apology for her recent behavior and announcing she would be stepping down from her positions on various community boards to focus on personal growth. "Think she means it?" Emma asked, taking a bite of chocolate cake. "No," I laughed. "But she knows we have enough evidence to destroy the perfect image she's spent years crafting." Sometimes the best revenge isn't in exposing someone's cruelty. It's in letting them live with the knowledge that they could be exposed at any moment. Thomas reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're incredible, you know that? Both of you. I don't deserve." "Don't," Emma interrupted. "We're family, and real family protects each other." As we drove home that night, Emma still radiant in her midnight blue dress, I thought about all the years of careful documentation, of creating backup plans, of teaching my daughter to rise above cruelty with grace and preparation. Patricia had tried to break us, but she'd only made us stronger. The dress hung in Emma's room now, a glittering reminder that sometimes the best response to someone's attempt to destroy something beautiful is to create something even more spectacular. And as for Patricia, well, she learned the hard way that you should never underestimate a mother's ability to protect her child, or a seamstress's talent for weaving backup plans. The next morning, we got a message from George. He found Patricia's box of trophies, items she had stolen or destroyed over the years, kept as 6 souvenirs of her victories over Emma. He was filing for divorce. Sometimes justice comes in unexpected ways, and sometimes the most satisfying revenge is simply being prepared for whatever life or spiteful mothers-in-law might throw at you.